welcome back to our weekly webinar for Cardinal Financial. Frank and I love to welcome two guys we have here today that are model citizens, great managers, great brand managers, and what we like to show is an example of people that have grown with us. And Gavin and Joe, welcome on.
Thank you,
Ralph.
What's going on, guys?
I probably could do a little bit better. When Frank's tan, I get a little bit intimidated.
Well, I wore the white shirt just to accentuate it.
That's good. You did a good job. You guys have been here probably almost 2 years at this point.
Yeah. In 2 weeks, it'll be 2 years.
And you came over and I would say that you were well researched before you came over, because I've known you guys for years within the industry. But what would you say was the biggest catalyst to get you over here, and what do you think that has come to fruition, either come to fruition or not come to fruition since you've been here?
Joe, I'll start with this one.
Yeah.
So, as Ralph, as you mentioned, we've known each other for a really long time, but I've actually known Frank probably the longest out of anybody here at Cardinal. So we started together in the business. We worked together. Down the road, I worked for him. And anytime I ever worked with Frank, I was always the most successful that I've ever been. And on Joe's end, I know that Joe also had a relationship, and just kind of worked out perfectly. And it came to fruition yet again. Obviously, we're in a position now where we're just doing, we're light years ahead of where we were.
Yeah, I think very similar to that. I knew Tommy for years. Strong relationship there, and when we decided to make move, with Gavin knowing Frank, me knowing Tommy, we just put our heads together and say, hey, listen, let's have conversations with these guys, knowing that long-standing professionals in the business, reputations speak for themselves. And to be honest, it really just took that one conversation. I know for me, and I know I speak for Gavin as well. Believing everything that was coming out of somebody's mouth is important, right? When you're talking to somebody and you're realizing, hey, listen, this is a real company, these are real people. And then once you start digging into the meat and potatoes of the company, you're like, wow, it's really hard to kind of pick yourself up and look somewhere else at that point. So for us, it was a no-brainer, joining the team with successful people that have continued to be successful in the industry and people that we look up to.
And we love having you guys here because, as Ralph said, to start this thing out, model citizens. We saw something in Joe and Gav, which is one thing that we preach, which is scale, right? These guys came in looking to grow a business, whether it be their own networks or whether it be existing or future employees. And I think better than almost anybody, if not anybody, they use the tools to get there. So one of the things that, I want you guys to talk about and tell the world about is, what has changed in your lives, both as producers and as managers from, the Cardinal perspective, that you haven't seen or been able to use, but now with the tools, you can get out there and be that much more successful. Again, it could be your own business. It could be your employee business.
Yeah, I'll start with that one because what I found is we're finally in an environment in this industry. I think any industry, right? I mean, we're only as good as our word. I think we've finally worked with people that are like-minded, that value what it means to say what we do and do what we say. And I think that having that behind us allows us to do a better job with our own people because, I think that's what brought Gavin and I together. Like, we care so much about what we do and the people that work for us that it would kill us that we weren't able to deliver an answer or be as quickly responsive to what it is their needs and wants are. And we now work for a team that thinks the same way we do. And to have that confidence and a surety that we know is above us, that's the game changer for us. I mean, we go out there, we were just on a call prior to this with a new recruit. And, all we kept telling him is that your life is going to change when you come to Cardinal because you're not going to have the back and forth that you have in your company waiting, 3 months to get an answer on something. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's what it feels like sometimes.
You might not be exaggerating.
Yeah, 3 days can feel like 3 months, and that's the truth. And we don't have that here. We know that when we have a question and it's asked to the right people, we're getting an answer in in this world, in this industry, and it's, very quickly, and we
Gavin and I had dinner way back, probably 3 years ago now when I first got here. Since then I've gained it, but looking good down there in Florida. But one of the things we talked about was Gavin and I grew up in a call center environment, right? We got leads, we pounded the phones, but we started growing a retail business when I got here to Cardinal, and he had some questions for me as to how that works. And my first thing obviously was the tech and Octane, which I'm sure you guys can speak to, putting the power back in the hands of the salesperson, but also the consistency of underwrite. If we did not have that consistency of underwrite, I wouldn't feel comfortable going down the chain to my loan officers, to my network, to my realtor partners, and saying yes or no, this is a deal, or this is not a deal. We were missing that elsewhere, and here we have that. That consistency is key, and I think that's probably part of what you're talking about. And it goes all the way back to corporate with that, because we don't do everything, but the things that we do, we know we can do them right away.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of piggyback off what you said about, our background, being a call center lead type producer, I was a little bit nervous making the transition, and, just the technology, the people, the processes that are in place, knowing that, hey, listen, I'm not the smartest person in the room. If I have a question, I can go to 10 other people who are more experienced in that than me and give me great guidance or an answer or show me a better way to do it. You just have to be open to listen and willing to reach out. And there's not a shortage of people here who will give you the answers that you're looking for, the guidance that you need, or point you in a direction to build a business and not just a pipeline, right?
Hey, I like that. Where'd you come up with
that? I heard that somewhere.
You guys, what's unique about you, and not completely unique to this place, is that you're really spread out all over the country, between New York and Florida and Louisiana and every place else you guys are. How do you find managing your culture within your group, being that it's mostly virtual and Zoom, and is it easier here than it would be other places?
Yeah, I'll start off again, I guess. I mean, the technology here from day one, and that was when we started here, obviously COVID was just becoming a thing. And it was scary to make a move, for, industry concerns, and then how we were accustomed to doing business, and now, we didn't know any better, right? Until we got here. And we got here, we realized that you guys were already light years ahead of the industry with the technology and the ability to communicate. So I would say that initially it was a fear, but once you get here and you realize that, all right, I can communicate regardless if you're in the next office next to me or you're in, 10 states away, we can do that here. And I think it is very comfortable. I don't feel that it has, if anything, I think it's easier here than it was at our previous company. I used to have to hop in a plane and fly to another state to kind of get up close and personal and feel like we're a part of a team, where I could do a Zoom call and feel probably, at times, more connected, because I can spend more quality time and screen share and do. So no, I actually think it's great. I think that you can clearly manage through the technology. And of course, I mean, listen, we're not even carving into Octane. But that's an entity in itself, and how easy it makes us manage the teams throughout the country.
And I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, Joe, in regards to the technology and, the Zoom calls and the groups that we have. And, I just want to talk about the culture, right? We also, it's very important to us to bring on the right people, work with the right people. And I think that, just kind of mirroring how, you and Ralph and, Tommy and Jimmy built your division, we're doing our branch in a similar fashion, right? We want to build with the right people. We don't just want to tack on. And that's very important to us, because our culture in our group, I feel like is, what makes it great for everybody to come to work every day.
I love it. And honestly, I was going to mention it later on, but it's perfect timing now. You see, Ralph and I are in the virtual Cardinal office. But that background that you see for Gavin, that's his real background. That's in his house right now, set up just for this, because whether it's speaking to clients, whether it's speaking to his team, whether it's, he's hosted some training sessions for me with newer employees and other branches that don't even have anything to do with these guys. They've been a big help. Put a lot of time, energy, and effort into who he is and his own culture, right? So you see mortgage lending done right, Cardinal's philosophy. You see his graffiti wall, and I see some Wu-Tang there and some Star Wars stuff, and usually a random dog jumping up on the couch or something back there. But this all came to play because it was comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Like anybody else, telephone sales is what you guys did before you got here. Now a lot more of it is done via social media, Zoom, and BombBomb, which is a video media that gets sent out. And Gavin uses it better than anybody in the entire division to partners, to employees, to potential clients, existing clients, previous clients. I mean, it's awesome. And you would never think to do that. You didn't have the time in the day to be creative. So, maybe you could help spread the word on, how did you get there? How does it feel once you're there? Is it helpful or is it just a gimmick?
No, it's definitely not a gimmick. It's actually funny that you bring this up because I was discussing with my wife prior to this call about, what this call is and what we're going to do. And she was like, when I was kind of going over some of the questions that I wanted to, go over with you guys, she asked me, are you going to talk about BombBomb? Because she knows about it because I send her videos too sometimes, right? But she also loves to watch my videos, right? She says that they're great. And it's similar feedback that I get from my referral partners. I get them from my borrowers. I get them from, people on the other side of the transaction, my prospects, the team members, and you're right. I like to say that I have a face for phone sales, right? But I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I get in front of a video, I'll record it, I'll send a message to my client. They'll love it because it's unique. I don't think a lot of other people are doing it. It personalizes the process rather than just the vanilla email. And it really, I feel like it helped differentiate me. And I think that's the name of the game in just mortgage sales and just sales in general, right? And we're leading by example. I got Joe to do it. Joe's doing a great job with his videos. Although they're a different flavor than mine, they still get the point across and they're great, right? We have other members of our team, Danny, Darren, they're all using BombBomb and their clients, their referral partners, the people that they're dealing with, they love them too. And it's just a different level of differentiation. Listen, I can go on and on and on about all the technology that we're afforded, the marketing department, Octane, et cetera, et cetera. BombBomb is literally just one piece of the arsenal that I've never even knew that I could use to better my business, better my team, grow a brand, a reputation. But here we are, and I'm sure I haven't even scratched the surface.
I've seen some lawn signs with some of your guys' faces too. So I know you're really branching out there.
Yeah.
You feel uncomfortable.
Very, very uncomfortable.
What I was going to add to that is that the being comfortable, being uncomfortable, right? Like, I don't think, looking back when we first came here, I didn't realize at the time how much I wanted to change. But once you got here, you realize how much that change helps you grow. Listen, I'm going to date myself, Gavin will laugh at me, but almost 22 years of being in this business. But honestly, it doesn't mean anything, right? It's 22 years of being in this business, and I've probably gone through one of the biggest transitions in my career here at Cardinal.
Great, yeah.
In at least definitely the past decade, right? Because I had to look at myself differently. I had to look at where I wanted to go business-wise, the company that I actually wanted to be a part of, and realizing that I had to change myself in order to adapt. You guys know my story, but I didn't originate for a long period of time before coming to Cardinal, being in management. And then I had to embrace that. And thank God that I had the people around me, like Tommy, like you, Frank, and Ralph, and Gavin, my partner. I could have never done it without the confidence that you guys instilled in me. And, I love it. I swear I never thought I'd say this, because there was a point in my career I hated it, but I think I hated it because of the process that I was actually a part of. I hate to admit that,
Yeah, right.
But now, I'm part of something totally different that it's fun, it's exciting. Gavin and I are getting to the point where we're getting so busy, it's actually getting harder to originate. and we're setting other people in place. But I could at least lead by example, and I know Gavin can too. Like when we talk about how easy it is to originate here and how easy it is to grow your business, it's true story. When we do bomb videos, all of this stuff that we do, I'm doing it because I want to do it to show you that you can do it. I'd be, hypocritical if I say, yeah, you could be successful, you can make all this money, you could do all of this, and I've never done it myself. Like that's useless. I want to do it. I want to be in the trenches with you, and I want to experience it. So when it does come around, and I can, show you, hey, listen, this is what I did. This is how it worked for us. Not to say it's the template that you got to follow, but it does work. So it's exciting.
I think that the point you just made is really important too, because I think even being on this call with Frank and then you guys, we were trying to get back together for years to work together again, and we just never were able to find a way. And this was a little bit of a leap of faith, but in past situations, Frank, me, Joe, and Gavin being in the same team in the same group would have never worked, right? Like it would just, because everybody would have had to have their own group that they controlled, that they had their own system in. And I don't know that this would have worked other places. So I think that's the biggest testament to anything, that we were able to all get together, all be very successful monetarily and production wise and whatever it is, and have a better quality of life here. I think that's a testament to this place more than anything.
Mm-hmm. And that's scale.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was with someone who we actually all work with this past weekend, and I was just kind of going down memory lane with him, and I was saying we have this guy, we have that guy, we have this guy, we have that guy. I talked to this guy about this. He goes, how do you have all those people working there? I go, listen, man, it's amazing, and he was like, you kind of see him. He was like, wow, so it's real, Ralph, it's real. Like, us all being together, you're right. It probably couldn't have happened anywhere else for, so many other reasons, egos, too many hands, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
It works here at Cardinal. It's the perfect storm. And, I think I mentioned this in talking to someone. We really do have, as Frank says, an all-star team of people, and
Hall of Fame,
all-star, whatever it is, it's awesome. Like if I don't know something, I know I have 10 other people who do know it. And that's a good feeling.
Yeah. And usually you have to sacrifice one for the other, right? Joe was talking about it before. If you produce, usually that means you're neglecting.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. If you have a team, usually that means you're neglecting your own production. I think what we put together here and you guys executed perfectly is like you don't have to. And actually there's even more time in the day to make crazy, funny videos or, things to each other and have the culture. And that's what's most impressive and important to me, because again, the numbers are the numbers. Everybody does the numbers out there. You guys have, said to me about, your guys growing by multiples. And that's great. But if they weren't having fun doing it, and if they weren't excited to come to work, it's just a function of the marketplace, a function of the overall industry. What separates us and you guys especially is like, not only having fun doing it, but there's special team members up and down the line that doing things completely different than they've ever done in their 5, 10, 15, 20-year careers, including what Joe just said. But Gav, one is John, Johnny the K. And I want you to talk about, his journey a little bit, how frightening that was for you and him to go from sales to operations and where he is now with it.
Yeah, so I met John about 10 years ago. He came in for an interview for a sales position. I was starting a new team of people to train them and get them going as loan officers. And he was one of my first interviews. He came in, his shirt was too tight. I don't think he could even button the top button. He was sitting there. He was very tense. I said, hey, relax, unbutton your shirt. We had a conversation. He seemed like a great guy. I didn't know if he could sell or not, but I was going to give him a chance. A veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, very respectful. You could tell he was a hard worker. And, I just, let's take a shot on John. So, fast forward, John and I start working together. He was my loan officer assistant. I gave him a little bit more responsibility. We come over to Cardinal and, Joe and I wanted to run it lean and mean right out of the gate, right? So we really didn't need John to be a loan officer assistant. So we said, hey, listen, we're going to repurpose John as our transaction coordinator, a loan processor, something he's never even thought to do before.
Never even dreamt of doing.
Not, and him and I had to have some hard personal conversations about, can I do it? Will I be able to do it? What happens if I can't do it? And you know what? He jumped in with both feet. He embraced it, and he is, he's absolutely crushing it right now as one of the top TCs in our division. And not only that, but the support that he gives to every single one of our team members and the appreciation that they have for him. That's what does it for me, because I felt that when John worked with me and for me, but now that he's doing that for everybody else, it's great to see how much of an impact he's really having on everybody and how appreciative they are of him. And just knowing where he came from, where he is now, makes me excited for where he's going to go.
Yeah, and we're banking on you guys to scale up and grow a team, like you said, in 4 different states. And here we are with a guy that was a salesperson as a processor. That doesn't happen anywhere. And it's a conversation that Joe and I had early on because, Joe was the hiring manager for many years at some large firms, and usually boarding, training, and growth is a full-time job in each of those 3 areas, let alone, to get them done successfully, flying around the country and whatnot. We have so many more people that are brand new, either to the industry or to their individual position, that are flourishing. There's something to be said about that, and it gives you the confidence to go out there and hire good people and find roles for them, even if they don't already have roles. So Joe, maybe you have some more examples on that and how that's impacted your ability to recruit.
Yeah. So John, I guess not knowing the process before we got here on the level of support that we were actually going to have and the level of support that John was going to be afforded to help in his success, we didn't really know it. So I guess call him the guinea pig of going through that process. But now that he's gone through it, we realize that the company has provided so much. It has so many tools. Gavin and I would even say we're guilty of it because from time to time, we're like a little kid. We start like taking back our stuff and we try to do everything ourselves. We realize we just had this conversation like there's so much support around us. What are we doing this for? We gotta reset the dials. We gotta push it back out to the support staff. So having that ability of the training teams and the marketing and all of these tools that Cardinal has put in front of us, that the division that you guys have created, really, on a middle management layer, the Nick Denaros of the world and the Joe Bostas, like to have that. These are not just people that are put in a position that are put in a position to make it look good. They're reactive. Like I could contact any one of them at any time, probably at any time of the night. I'm going to get a response. Nick Denaro still surprised me. He's away on, his staycation down in Florida. And the guys responded to me on a regular basis. I'm like, what are you doing? Where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm in Florida. I'm like, what are you talking to me for? So, that type of support, as much as it seems so common now being here, Gavin and I remind ourselves like, man, you remember what it was like? We
had to do it all.
We would not have the ability to, we're about to bring on a few more people. We just brought on a few more. There's more coming. As this starts to happen, we would never have the confidence anywhere else. Like we always revert back to our previous company. I won't mention names, but we could never do this there because it is 100% fell on our shoulders. I was responsible for everything from, like you said, getting them boarded, putting them, training them, taking a processor. I'd have to, side by side her with one of my other processors. We'd fly them in from wherever they were. And you're going to sit with my top processor in corporate for 2 weeks or a week, or whatever it was that they could afford to stay. And that's how I'm going to train you. Here, you actually go through a training program. No,
it was so hard to board people. Right. That's a good point.
Right?
It was so hard to board people before. You're right.
Well, and I think the 4 of us and the overall culture in our division is retention over recruitment, right? So we're not going to bring people on if it means that it's going to hurt anyone that's here already, right? And the beauty of it is we have the foundation built so strong that we can feel confident that that's not going to happen. And, Ralph and I are constantly, staffing up and coming up with different SOPs to make sure that happens at the division level. And I see you guys doing the same at the branch level because you don't run a revolving door type of a business. You do like to have the culture. And I don't think at this point, you've had any casualties to the industry. You've had people that have transitioned from refi to purchase. You've had people that have transitioned from lead to referral. Maybe you can go into how you were able to accomplish that. Let's use real life scenarios, because there are people out there wondering right now, just that, how the hell am I going to survive 2022? And, one day the rates are up, one day the rates are down. Something like my manager doesn't want to buy me leads anymore. That's what's going on out there right now. And I don't see that in our division. And I certainly don't see that at your branch.
Yeah, can I go with that one?
Of course you can, Joe. Please.
Because honestly, this part about it excites me, right? Because we're just scratching the surface. I feel that every single day that I show up to go to work. Like, the market is the market. Refis come and go. We all know that. And if you don't know that, you're going to find out really quick. But what I do know is I got to continue to build my brand. I got to continue to build who I am. And Cardinal has allowed me or helped me in a big way to do that, right? So when I talk about Cardinal and the experiences that I have here when I'm talking to a new realtor, like I'm out there on a regular basis, expanding. Like now we're at the point I'm pulling back. Like I landed some big accounts on the realtor side, but just getting in their face, talking about what we do. I love that part of this business. So to say you can't grow in this environment, I think is silly. I think you just haven't tried. But if you get out there, start talking to realtors, just be yourself, talk about who we are. What I've also found is the Cardinal name is growing all organically without us. I have a realtor that, came to me that was on the other side of a transaction, that she's on the other side of my transaction now, wants to do business with us. Like, that's how it works. So you can be good at what you do. The Cardinal name is going to help you do that. But I love building a business, and I love going out there, opening these doors. And now what we're starting to do is now hire in to backfill to help us with this business and grow it. So I just think it's how you look at it. We could sit here and be woe is me and refis are done, or we can say, hey, we got cash out refis to come, and we got, the next wave of purchases, the people that realize that 3% or 2.5% doesn't exist. It's the low fours and, maybe high fives. It is what it is. You're still going to buy a house. There's still realtors. There's a ton of business out there.
And what it comes down to at that point is the service. And I know that we had this conversation once again very early on in the process, and it didn't seem real, the TBD pre-approval process. Now that we have it and you guys executed on it every single day, Gavin sends me pings all the time about agents that don't believe it. Then when they see it, they want more of it. They give you every referral that comes through to them. So, Gav, talk a little bit to the TBD process and just our service in general when it comes to every type. I mean, from jumbo down to FHA and VA and conventional in between. How does that help you to allow the borrowers to get accepted offers quicker, to get contracts done and out, the whole process?
So when we first started talking, about 2 years ago, I sat down with some people and specifically in the product and operational realm, Paul, Mike, and I was just trying to, get a
because you didn't trust me on the ops side.
Just to get a flavor. You retired from the Octane demo to get a flavor of what we do and what we don't do, and what it seemed like on my first conversation with them both is pretty much do everything, right? We have a big credit box, and a lot of companies say we have a big credit box, but we execute on what we say we can do as long as you fit within the rules, right? So, along those same lines with the TBD pre-approval, I've got some really tough deals done with the confidence to get on the phone with the listing agent when they call me to ask me about their pre-approval, where I can sit there and I could really, stand on my soapbox and explain to them, hey, have you ever done business with Cardinal before? Most of the time it's no, some of the times it's yes, more likely now yes than no, because of the footprint that we've established from having all the great people in our division doing such business in our sandbox. But when it was a no, I love that because it gave me an opportunity to explain to them what our TBD pre-approval process is, how it's essentially a loan commitment without an address, how it didn't just get slopped together by some loan officer who didn't even, we took a W-2 and divided by 12. The income was calculated with a written verification of employment by an underwriter who is given credit authority for Cardinal Financial. So what that means is, as soon as we have an accepted offer, as soon as you accept my client's offer and I get the fully executed contract, you're going to have a loan commitment within 24 hours. And then I just stop. And they go, wow, that's great.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. And then it just gives me an opportunity to explain how well qualified my client is and why, right? And why we're going to get it done quickly, and why in 3 weeks when we're clear to close, I'm going to be asking when we can close and if is the seller ready, right? So long story short, the TBD pre-approval process puts me as the loan officer in a position, and all of our other loan officers, because they utilize it, in a position to let their borrower go out there and make confident offers, knowing that, hey, I got a Cardinal pre-approval. This means something. And I always encourage my borrowers to tell their agent, or I talk to my borrower's agent and say, have the listing agent call me because I want to tell them about the pre-approval. I always do it because number one,
network.
it sells it. Number two, now I have another contact.
Yeah,
Who
absolutely.
do you use? Do they do this? And
Right.
you can
Let me just
spin it
add to
off.
that real quick, because I deal with this a lot, dealing with broker owners and the realtors directly, because I feel like they're educated in the industry. Like, we all know, they all think that the 20% down conventional deal is the only way to go.
Yeah.
That's the one that I'm going to pick. It's the best deal ever. And they really don't understand, like, if we do a TBD pre-approval on a VA or FHA deal, that's as good as done. That's it. Like this, and everybody, there are a lot of companies trying to duplicate, but don't even come close. Like when you educate a realtor that it's not a pre-approval what you have, it's a pre-qual. They don't know the difference between pre-qual and pre-approval. Pre-qual is an LO. Yeah, he tells you it's underwritten because he did an AUS on it. Well, no, that's not an underwritten approval. We actually send it to an underwriter, to DE underwriter, to review the file. And that's it. It's as good as it is right there. As long as it fits those parameters, you're good to go. So when we get it, because of the contract, it's expedited immediately, and that's the biggest sell. I sell the speed behind it.
It's all about the service. It's all about the certainty. And I think that, this isn't a gimmick that just came into play when business slowed down and we needed to keep underwriters busy. We did it all through the pandemic. We've instituted this before you guys even came on, before we even came on. And we've only continued to tweak the process. So as we use it and get better at it, it's only getting faster and more efficient. I think it's great. It's just one tool in the arsenal, but it's certainly helping us grow the business, and it makes everybody comfortable. It does a great service for the borrowers to be able to get offers accepted. Not everybody has just 20% down or cash offers, to go out there and buy and figure it out later. 5% down, 3% down, 3.5% down is a reality in this world, especially in our market with the prices where they are. And you guys use it as a tool, not only to get that offer accepted, but like you just said, to grow the network and get more contacts, more realtors, and become more efficient. You guys do one of the things that we talked about. Also, you guys preach to your entire squad, whether they're in Louisiana or up here in New York, to go to those closings and to talk about the successes that you had. And there's, funny stories that we've heard about that from you guys as well, with, the people sitting across the table, the listing agents kind of giving the side eye, like, why my clients aren't as happy as your clients. What's going on there? So hopefully you get to see that and experience that too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just circling back to the TBD pre-approval, the piece that I just lost what I was going to say. I had a tip of my tongue, and I was like, I got to get this out quick.
I think you were going to say about the speed. I think you were talking about the speed, right?
No, it was more than that. The speed is what. Oh, so what's happening in the market today, right? We're dealing with some serious changes. Look, rising rates are a part of our industry. They go up, they go down. But if you have been in the business or at least do the history on it, it's cyclical, right? So, FHA and, those type of products are suppressed in this type of market where rates were low. But now as rates start to creep up, you're going to see more governmental business. And that's kind of the road that I'm trying to educate realtors on. Like, I know that you don't like an FHA loan for one of your sales, right? Because you think it's a bad loan, but it's really not. And as the market starts to change and we start to creep up in interest rates, and those conventional deals turn into FHA deals because, we wrote the pre-approval at the max it could possibly do on a conventional deal because, that's just the way they got to go out there and look. Now it turns into an FHA deal because my DTI is over 50 and it's just
listing agents run scared when they hear FHA when they shouldn't. So.
Yeah. So I'm trying to make a strong effort into just educating them and teaching them that like this TBD pre-approval not only gives you that reassurance that these, the FHA loans or VA loans for that matter, or solid loans that it's going to close, that you're not going to have any issues. And I just had one. It was a VA. It was originally pre-approved as a conventional, and I flipped it to VA because pricing was better. They were putting a substantial amount of money down. They had they were, more than 10% disabled, so they didn't have the VA funding fee. So it just all worked out where it was a much stronger deal. And the realtor's like, well, you should have told me it was a VA. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. It's a VA. It's a better loan, and you got your approval 24 hours after I got the contract. She's like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, so the appraisal is ordered. We'll get the appraisal and we'll close. I got like 80% of my documents in my hand already. She's like, oh, okay. And when I close this deal, I'm going to make her a fan of not only just Cardinal, but of government loans as well.
Well, I think the other thing is that, maybe we take it for granted because it's just our standard operating procedure, but like, this is like this doesn't get done at a lot of other places, right? Like, I listen to a podcast every morning, just, about like growing.
Is it Ralph's podcast?
It's not Ralph's, unfortunately. And one of the things that stood out to me this morning when I was listening is they were saying that maybe you got it underwritten up front. And I kind of took a step back. I said, you don't just do that, but it's true. They don't. Like, we're so
not the norm,
spoiled, right? That we have all of these tools at our disposal. I just think it's important that we continue to, shout out from the rooftops and, like Joe said, educate, right? Because a TBD pre-approved FHA, VA, USDA loan, in some instances, is better than a conventional deal, right?
Absolutely.
So, it's our job. It's our job to educate, right? And in educating gives us an opportunity to have an audience. And like Joe said, once we execute on everything, they become a fan of ours. We add them to our network.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, listen, we could sit here all day and talk. We haven't even scratched surface on a lot of things, but I do want to let you guys get back to work and wrap this up. Just some of the things that I took away from this, and hopefully everybody listening did as well, especially if they know you guys from before you got the Cardinal, is look, education, motivation, and passion is everything that I hear on this call. And that's what be successful. The funny part about it is these guys mentioned it, but if you know them from previous lives, being managers, not producing, being controlling over their pipelines, usually makes you a very tired, anxious, and angry person. And I don't see any of that on this call or from the day-to-day dealing with you guys. I speak because I know Gavin the longest. Gavin was known as a guideline guru, as a pipeline manager, as an ops person, right? On this phone call, I would say he's 1,000% sales, and I haven't even heard him talk about ops, except for the fact that he's passionate about the programs, right? It's a complete evolution, and it's so impressive because anybody, if you haven't spoken to Gavin in 10 years or 5 years, you remember him as the guy that puts deals together and tells you how to get a loan to work or a DTI to work, right? You don't remember him as the guy that's spewing all this knowledge and all this passion as a salesperson, and that was hidden in there the whole time. It was just buried underneath files, right? So I'm glad to be able to hear that, not only on this call, but every day. Joey, same thing. Appreciate you guys coming on today. Appreciate having you guys every single day, and look forward to hearing more from yourself and the team.
Thank you so much for taking the time with us and hearing us out.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah, looking forward to what's to come, man. It's a lot of good things coming. So glad to be a part of the team. So,
let's get it done.